Yeah, I think our tendency is to think of forgiveness as getting back with the person. I'm going to overlook what they did, or I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to forget about it. And that's not the way forgiveness works. You can do all those things, and they'll reduce your unforgiveness possibly, but they won't help you to find the emotional peace that you can find from being forgiving. Part of the reason why I studied this topic is because forgiveness is something I need to learn. And in studying this topic, it's helped me to think through what forgiveness could look like for me. And all the examples of unforgiveness that I was carrying with me in my life, I've been able to try and address one by one. It starts out with a transgression. Somebody treats us in a way that's different from how we'd like to be treated, and we respond to that emotionally and with feelings. And then at some point we realize, well, we can't enforce how we want other people to treat us. Other people are going to treat us how they treat us. And so when we get treated in ways that seem to be threatening to our well-being, our tendency is to cope with it. We all have different coping styles, positive coping styles and negative styles. If we can cope with a transgression positively, then we probably aren't going to move into a state of unforgiveness. But if we can't, then we go into ruminating about what happened. We start telling ourselves a story. That story becomes a narrative. That narrative takes on a life of its own, and then we can't get it out of our head. And the more it's in your head, the more difficult it is to become forgiving. We're bitter, and we're thinking about ways that we want to get back at them, or get even with them, or set them straight, or teach them a lesson. And those are all forms of unforgiveness. I believe until you've acknowledged what's happened at a deep level, and you really take a look at why has something troubled you so much, and why are you feeling the way you are about it, and maybe reframing your perspective and looking at what's happened to you from the other person's point of view, it's pretty hard to move into the other steps of forgiveness. So I think that's a starting point. I believe that the behavioral sciences have a great deal to say to us about forgiveness, and I believe what we've learned through behavioral science research is consistent with what the Bible teaches us about forgiving. Prayer, meditation, scripture study, and fellowship are four things that are fairly common in philosophy of spiritual discipline, but I've tried to narrow it down to something that's tangible and manageable. The stronghold is the thoughts that Satan puts in our mind that we build around our heart. Our heart is where our likeness of Christ resides. And when we build a stronghold around our heart, we prevent our heart from showing God's love, from letting it out to show Christ-likeness to other people. And that's particularly important when you're trying to forgive someone. It's important that they see Christ through your attempts to be forgiving. However, I think it's important to say that forgiveness doesn't always require the other person in the process. Forgiveness is something that we do for ourselves. And as a result of doing it for ourselves, the other person may never see what you've done to try and forgive them. But what you can do is use the process of forgiveness in your prayer life to pray for the other person.